Stu and Dave Do America present Weirdo versus Dancing in Public.
You are allowed to dance, right? There's no rule against dancing. I'm allowed to be different and weird. I'm allowed to dance and to express myself in the world. It's okay to be different, right? It's okay if someone sees me. I'm still safe. If someone sees me, that's okay, right? I am safe. There's no rule against dancing. We're allowed to dance.
First of all,
it's every Molly Shannon character rolled into one.
Yes, it really is.
It's Mary Catherine Gallagher. I'm 50 years old. Mm-hmm. And it's also the reason why you shouldn't go to Target during Pride Month.
That's true. You could be run over by rainbows. I believe there was, in the documentary Footloose, a law against dancing. So technically, it is possible that she could be violating the law there. And if there isn't a law, they really should create one.
I agree. And she should be escorted out.
Yeah.
And they should open the door with her face like the movie Casino.
Okay, so we have an interesting show today, Dave, because we're going to go everywhere from what's going on now with the elections all the way back into history. It's going to be quite the adventure. Let's start it off and do California's political future. Welcome to Stu and Dave Do America. Stu Burguiere along with Dave Landau.
Ahoy, and we meet again.
We do. And you can meet Dave all over the country as he tours on davelandau.com, Michigan, Arkansas, Texas, Alabama, Missouri, and again back in Michigan all through June and July. Lots of great dates. Go to davelandau.com. Get yourself hooked up with tickets to go see Dave live. I don't know. Are you in? I guess not in California. You were just in California.
I was in San Francisco and Sacramento.
Yeah. How's it going over there? How's everything going in California?
Pretty good. My knees still hurt from San Francisco, but Sacramento was a good place. I was standing most of the time.
Okay. Now, I was going to say, is it because of all the hills? Like you're climbing all those hills, your knees were in pain, or was
Yep.
it? Okay.
All the hills.
All the hills. Okay, good. That's good to hear.
Show the hills.
There you go. That's right. That's our boy Spencer Pratt is from that show. He is in. Let's not jump to conclusions quite yet. But L.A. Mayor Karen Bass makes the November 3rd runoff. Spencer Pratt and Nithya Raman fight for second. This is what the votes look like last night. And honestly, if you were watching them last night, we did a show on Predictable. We were live streaming these results. You'll note a little bit of a difference. Raman is catching up here. I think she's too far behind to catch Pratt, but right now we're at 35% for Bass, 30.4% for Spencer Pratt, and Nithya Raman, the socialist, at 22.3%. That was about 19 or 20 when I signed off last night. And the way that these votes come in, Dave, we should expect this to continue to close. I will leave it up to you to decide whether you think this is right or not. But the way these votes come in California every single time is you have a nice night, kind of that first night on Tuesday
and they're
night.
Dropped off in the middle of the night, is what I'm guessing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I'm just guessing. I haven't actually seen any of this yet. I'm just assuming that a bunch of votes for Karen Bass may have appeared in the middle of the night. Am I right?
Well,
it's my prediction.
We do not have evidence of that quite yet, but I will say that the way California does their votes, they basically release a bunch of early vote right as polls close. Then they start counting the vote of that came in that day. So, again, that's mostly Republican voters do that. They're more likely to come in and actually vote in person. And then after that, you start getting this late mail-in vote. And the late mail-in vote is the vote that somehow is legal in California, where you can send in a ballot. You could put it in the mailbox yesterday, as long as it's postmarked by Election Day. It can arrive there up to a week after the election. And
by mailbox, do you mean a cardboard box that someone is sleeping next to
Yes.
that says "drop ballots here"?
Yes, basically.
Very official.
It could come through the mail as well and take 5, 6, 7 days to get there. And
Sure.
all that vote, of course, just always is very, very Democratic leaning. So I would expect this 8-point gap that we have now to tighten. I don't think it'll get all the way there where Roman is going to pass Spencer Pratt. But, in California, stranger things have happened, Dave.
Oh, they have. We'll see. I have a feeling that she might catch up.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting one to watch. Now, Spencer Pratt is kind of already assuming he's in to this runoff. Here he is talking about what his plans are here for the next few months.
Are you going to debate Karen Bass again? And what do you want to tell her if she sees this?
I love debating her on NBC. I look forward to a couple more on NBC and Fox. We can do debates every Friday if she would like, because this actually became my most favorite thing to do. So, yes, as many debates as Mayor Bass would like.
What would you like to tell her now that it's on, between the two of you?
Oh, I mean, she knows it's on. I hope she's ready, because I literally could not be more excited.
It is usually a good thing for a politician, Dave, to debate the dumbest people around them. So I think Spencer Pratt is in a good position here.
It has helped a lot of people in the past. So I think it's a very good idea. Unfortunately, in California, I'm not sure if it's going to help.
Yeah, it's still going to be tough in Los Angeles for Spencer Pratt to win, because when you have a situation where it's 2 Democrats and 1 Republican, their votes gets kind of split up. You're in the picture. When you go the opposite way and you have 1 Republican versus 1 Democrat, it's very difficult to win in a city like this, especially in an election time. That's probably going to be pretty difficult for Republicans generally. Pratt, though, is looking at this positively, Dave. He's trying to take a positive spin on what is to come here in the next few months. Watch.
Obviously, God wanted 5 more months of me exposing all the failures of our mayor. So it's going to be a fun ride. I hope she's ready.
Are you ready?
I mean, I was born for this, clearly.
He took the most traditional path to the mayoralship in New York, of course, through a reality show. But that's where we get most of our politicians these days, apparently.
It is. I think he's going to do fine. He's proven it in the debate before. So as far as debates go and going up against her and just trying to show track record, he's got it in the bag. As far as the, votes that come in the bag in the middle of the night, those are the ones that I'd have to worry about.
Yeah, those are the toughest ones to defeat, I feel like, the ones that come in when everyone's gone home for the night and there's just giant piles of them in the corner. Not always easy to beat.
No.
Though I will say Spencer Pratt's got a good group of supporters in New York. Now, I don't know why the news decided to highlight these 2 gentlemen who may have had a couple of beverages throughout to celebrate Spencer Pratt's second place finish here.
Is this in New York where he's at right now?
He in LA. Did I say New York? Sorry.
You did twice.
Really?
I mean, come on. Come on.
It was a long night last night, Dave. I did 4 live streams.
One on the show.
I did 4 live streams last night. I couldn't even form words by the end of it.
You had 4 lines last night? That's why you're still up.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't even get any sleep. Here are drunk guys in California, not New York. They would not be in New York. In California.
There's drunk guys in New York, but sure.
Yeah, sure. Talking about Spencer Pratt.
Because he's speaking out against communism and socialism, and it is a real big problem in our cities, especially in LA where it's turned to crap. It's not an accident. They're doing it by design. Karen Bass wants to destroy our city, and it's nice to see someone like Spencer Pratt.
I can simplify it because those buzzwords are like they melt the brains of like left, leaning people. So let's just say it this way: he doesn't want human feces to be a part of your life.
Yeah.
He doesn't want homeless children outside.
Totally.
Homeless
Thank
people
you.
Outside. Oh,
We
you
have-
didn't like that.
She
ran away.
We have
He doesn't
talked.
want homeless
Okay,
people outside of
we
the elementary
appreciate
schools
you.
having
Can I get a
sex
shout out real
with
quick?
their
We
own
appreciate
hands
you.
in front of the
We
children.
appreciate you. We've talked a lot about the homelessness. Thank you. All right. I'm gonna.
I don't appreciate you, ma'am.
I got it. Thank you.
Reporters
I mean,
really
they're
love
right.
when you bring out the word feces in their broadcasts.
They really do, but I also like that he's just dressed like the lead singer of, every cover band imaginable who takes themselves way too seriously. They both just look like hammered guys at karaoke night that come every Saturday.
Yeah.
Someone's going to find us. We're going to get discovered this week.
It's going to happen very soon. Van Jones was on CNN talking about Karen Bass doing everything he can to make excuses for how horrible she is. This is what that looked like.
I think Karen Bass has gotten a bad rap
Yeah.
because of the Palisades fire. That was a fire hurricane. For the first time, our fire season and our wind season kissed, and we had a fire hurricane. We could not fly our air tankers. And so if she had been in town or not in town, you'd have the same outcome. That said, there's a lot of problems that people are upset about. If a reality TV star winds up going head-to-head with Karen Bass, given how unpopular the reality TV star president is, Donald Trump, it just gives you a sense
Trump endorsed reality.
Yeah, exactly. It just gives you a sense of the level of discontent. I think Karen Bass ultimately survives, but it's a wake-up call for the Democratic Party establishment in the state of California that we've got two kind of wild personality types that are probably going to drag us into into a runoff.
What it was a fire hurricane, Dave. What could she possibly have done?
It's true. It's just sad that the fire season coincided with the arson season, and that's not on her.
Interesting point there, because we've talked about this previously. I don't know that people know this, but this fire that everyone was talking about was not like a rando fire hurricane. It was not some crazy, what did he say? When our wind season and our fire season kissed. No, it was when a left-wing nut job set the city on fire. That's what happened.
Yes, and Karen Bass decided to go to a wedding in Uganda while it was going on and say that the ocean didn't have enough water in it to fix the problem. Mm-hmm. That's not exactly good leadership.
No.
Is there a take on? I understand that Spencer Pratt has a lot of drunk fans or supporters, if you will, that look like they're in a funk band. But did we hear from any of Karen Bass's supporters, or are they just dead from fentanyl on the streets?
Right. Cast your vote, get fentanyl, collapse. You do that thing what they do, that really nice thing they do on the streets of California, where they're bent over at the waist, like hinged at the waist, but have their hands on the ground for like 25, 30 minutes at a time. It's a nice look.
Yeah, the Thriller look, the Trank zombie look. It's good what she's done. Mm-hmm. They're living statues.
Yeah. Doing great.
It's a good look.
There was a California gubernatorial race last night as well that made a lot of news. This is Steve Hilton and Javier Becerra. The vote count is right now Hilton leading. I kind of expect that to change. I figure by the end, it's kind of the same phenomenon we were talking about before. Becerra will probably take the lead, but I don't think Hilton is going to miss the runoff. So I do think we'll have a runoff in November between Hilton and Becerra there. I
love that they're going to try to say that he actually is an American, though.
Yeah, I know. What was because he was British. He came over here. He is now an American citizen, and quite proud of that. By the way, it was one of those things they kept trying to get him on because they're like, "Oh, Donald Trump, you like Donald Trump, and he hates immigrants." He's like, "I am an immigrant. What are you talking about?"
Right. So I just did it the way you're supposed to, which I know you hate, but that's the way I did it.
Yeah. And we all know that Donald Trump does not hate all immigrants. He loves the models from the Eastern European bloc. That he can
Big
always
fan.
find room for them.
Also, if you make a very American taco bowl, big fan.
Oh, yeah. He loves the taco bowl.
He does.
Mm-hmm, that was his favorite. Okay, we got to take a break. We're going to be too long here. I want to just quickly point out, though, Dave, one of the funny things about this is they have this weird system in California where the top two from any party go into this sort of NBA finals that happens in November. And California did this, I think, in like 1990, because what they wanted was two Democrats to get in every time. And then it would be a choice between a normal Democrat and a crazy socialist. And they could move the whole state even farther left. What almost happened here was that two Republicans got into the runoff with Chad Bianco. He finished fourth in this race, or at least it looks like he's going to finish fourth. And now they're thinking, because it almost happened, didn't even happen, that it was two Republicans. Now they're saying they might just scrap the system entirely and go back to the old system so they can make sure they get a Democrat in. Pathetic. There are certain things you tend to assume that would be kind of difficult to steal, even in California, like, a car. Sure, you can steal that. A wallet, you can steal that, of course. But your house, how would you steal something like that? Most people can't even picture that. You're talking about lawyers and paperwork or very strong individuals that can lift a lot of weight. The reality is a lot less comforting because title theft is a form of real estate fraud where criminals use forged documents to make it appear on public record that they own your property. Once that happens, they can try to take out loans against your equity or create a financial mess that you may not recover until a really long period of time goes by. Your home is your largest asset that you own. Most people don't spend any time monitoring anything at all when it has to do with their home's title. They barely monitor the packages being sent to their house and being stolen from their front porch like they are all the time in California. Use the promo code Stu and Dave and solve this problem at HomeTitleLock.com. You get a free title history report, a free trial of their $1 million triple lock protection, 24/7 monitoring of your title records, urgent alerts to any changes, and if fraud does occur, they have a U.S.-based restoration team that will spend up to $1 million to fix this for you. It's HomeTitleLock.com. The promo code is Stu and Dave. Use the link below as well. HomeTitleLock.com. Promo code Stu and Dave. I'm very excited to welcome in Douglas Brunt to the program. He is the author of a great new book I've been reading. It's called The Lost Empire of Emanuel, Nobel, Romanovs, Revolutionaries, and the Forgotten Titan Who Fueled the World. It's available right now wherever you get your books. Make sure to pick up a copy. Doug, really glad to have you on the program. Thanks so much for joining us.
This is awesome, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I first of all love the book. It's I will say a story I did not know. I was very much in the dark on until you illuminated this history, which is really amazing. And you go through this history of the whole Nobel family, and how it relates to Russia and the Soviet Union and obviously to the rest of the world. And the big thing that it kept hitting me over and over again is what a missed opportunity there was here. Like there was a chance for capitalism and people with good intentions and people who didn't want to murder tens of millions of other human beings to win this battle and maybe redirect world history for so many. Is that kind of, when you look back at it, the biggest takeaway for you?
Yes, it's an incredible sliding doors moment in history. And the fact that the Soviet Union and communism is what prevailed is it was the least likely scenario to come about. And as we are going through the years before World War I, Emanuel Nobel was really leading the industrial progress in the Russian Empire, and they were succeeding. There's a widely accepted theory that the German Empire looked at Russia as a huge threat and decided to go with the theory of a preventative war, a preemptive war. They thought, well, we're going to have to fight Russia sooner or later, and they're advancing so quickly that in 5 years they'll be too powerful to beat. So we might as well fight them now in 1914. The reason Russia was advancing so quickly largely is due to Emanuel Nobel. He's Alfred Nobel's nephew. We know the Nobel name through Alfred Nobel and the Nobel Prize. This is his nephew who led the whole Russian side of the family, and he pioneered the Russian oil industry in the late 1800s. He was the largest, by 1900, the largest oil company in the world, even bigger than Standard Oil. And just as you say, completely erased from history. That sliding doors moment happened in the chaos of World War I. Lenin, Stalin, and Trotsky and the communists prevailed. And what Stalin did to Emanuel Nobel became the inspiration for George Orwell's 1984. There's a passage in that novel that talks about they changed the street names, they tore down the statues, and they rewrote the history. That's what Stalin did to Nobel.
First of all, we should note that it's very, it's not great that the somewhat unremarkable 2002 Gwyneth Paltrow movie, Sliding Doors, is still alive in our memory, and Emanuel Nobel is not. That's a
good
yes,
point.
That's actually terrifying.
It really is a scary development in our world. What's fascinating to me about, because you talk about how he was erased, right? They erased Emanuel Nobel for a century. Mm-hmm. And I fully understand that within the context of Stalin and the Soviet Union and Russia, right? Like it makes sense. They intentionally went and tried to erase him, as you mentioned, in 1984. They did this because they wanted control of their people. But why did the erasure of Nobel work in the West? Like, why wasn't this a story that we all knew and couldn't believe the Soviet citizens didn't?
That's an interesting point because he did have business contacts internationally. But I think Stalin was just so effective at it. One of the things that he would often do was he was sort of our first photo shopper. There are these old photos of the Russian Revolution that have Lenin and Stalin and Trotsky. And then a few years later, Trotsky's out of the photo. Stalin has actually had his historians sort of rewrite it even down to the photographs. And so he was very thorough. When they nationalized all these businesses, they took the Nobel Brothers Petroleum Company that was down by the Caspian Sea in what was then the southern part of the Russian Empire, and they renamed it the Soviet Petroleum Company. And his munitions and machine factory in the north by St. Petersburg, they renamed Ruski Diesel, because Nobel was one of the leading manufacturers of diesel engines. And I think it only takes a couple decades, as we know. Look at the news cycle today. So while Nobel had worked with people like Adolphus Bush and Henry Ford and Rockefeller in America, a couple decades later, this Russian-Swedish industrialist is long forgotten in the West. And especially when the official history, as written by the Soviets, that you can access, has completely scratched him from any participation in these decades. It's not long before he just gets completely paved over, and then Stalin is, painting on a new history on top.
Well, and you have another book about Diesel, the man who created the diesel engine, right?
Yes, it's came out a couple years ago called The Mysterious Case of Rudolf Diesel. And Diesel had introduced the diesel engine to the world in 1897. He disappeared. He's a colleague and business partner of Emanuel Nobel. And when he introduced the diesel engine, Nobel took the license for the diesel technology in the Russian Empire and began building diesel engines for the Tsar's navy and army. And then Rudolf Diesel, disappeared right before World War I in this crazy story. There was speculation of murder and suicide. And so the book, The Mysterious Case of Rudolf Diesel, talks about how the man, Rudolf Diesel, and the diesel engine, were really at the center of the whole military industrial movement of those decades. And his disappearance is right at the heart of that, and sort of gets into the mystery as well.
People like to get killed, possibly kill themselves, or disappear at really convenient times for the elites, don't they?
That's right.
It's very fascinating.
Even like present day, what's going on with these scientists and nuclear physicists, like disappearing, walking around out of their house and with handguns, and all of a sudden they're gone.
Right. Like, that's what's so interesting about these stories. Your books, they're now. There's a direct line to now. Like, nothing's changed.
Exactly. The more things change, the more they stay the same. This situation with Emanuel Nobel and his oil empire in the south of Russia is really the first oil war. World War I was our first mechanized war. It's the first time we have planes and tanks and trucks as opposed to horses. And suddenly petroleum is more important than food for these armies. And so they're all trying to get down to Nobel's oil, which is the most oil abundant place in the world. He's got the number one drilling and refining operation, larger than Standard Oil. And so they're all trying to get it, whether it's the Ottoman Turks, the Russians, the Germans, the Americans, Japanese, they're all going to the Caspian Sea. And it's really the first major oil contest. But it's what we see today. It's the story of our times ever since Nobel. You open the newspaper to any section, it's about Venezuela, Iran, Russia. The quest to capture our sources of energy remains the top headline.
Doug, it really feels too. It gave me a sense of fear at some level, because you get the idea, and this has happened over and over and over again in our history, that it's really sort of tentative, right? Like our whole civilization is resting on these things that can turn around really quickly. I mean, Nobel built this gigantic business. He was a hero. He was bringing, I think, capitalism, that would spread even wider throughout the world. And in a very short period of time, this nation in Russia totally transformed. All the people responsible for the good things in the country were either excommunicated or murdered, and the entire society flips, to the extent that goes to multiple other countries flipping, and 100 million people dead. I mean, and it happened within a year and a half, 2 years?
Yeah, and so the Russian Revolution, there were two, February and then October, that happens as World War I is still raging right next door. And so it's just utter chaos. The Russians had already lost millions of people in the war itself. They then enter a revolution and a brutal 5-year civil war period. The Russian Civil War, 10 million people died in the Russian Civil War. The American Civil War was only 1 million people. So it was 10x the amount of death in their Civil War. And most, American students aren't exposed to a lot of the information about what was happening at that time in that part of the world. But Nobel was basically, along with every other Russian industrialist, thrown out on his ear. They were either put into some kangaroo court and then thrown in jail or murdered or ran for their lives. The communists nationalized more than 9,000 businesses overnight. And Stalin was in Lenin's ear saying, let's take the oil, let's take Nobel's oil right away. Lenin was a little more hesitant about it because he was saying, well, look, we could do that, but there's no one in the communist regime who knows how to drill and refine oil. We can take it, but then maybe oil production trickles to almost nothing. So he was reaching out to Emanuel Nobel, in fact, sent a letter to him saying, Citizen Nobel, and summoned him to Moscow so they could discuss how the existing industrialists might participate in the communist nationalization. And there's a great line from the Nobel executive saying, they're asking us to participate and drive the hearse at our own third-class funeral. They obviously, Emanuel Nobel did not go to Moscow and help them, just take the keys to his own business. He tried to arrange something with Rockefeller and Standard Oil instead.
Doug, I think there's a secondary villain in this book, because you have, obviously, I think the rise of communism and all the terrible things that come out of that. But there's a secondary villain, I felt, in sort of the world of crony capitalism, right? There were, and I think there are, capitalists who do incredible things, and I'm a huge fan of capitalism. But when you tie capitalism to the government, when you have people who will do things illicitly with their businesses, and you mentioned some instances of funding.
Do you think that's bad?
Yeah, I do think it's bad, Dave. Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting to there, Doug.
All right.
Is crony capitalism also sort of a villain in this book?
It's interesting to see the parallels between some of that, which we do toward the end of the book a little bit, and the command economy of a communist government. Where that and a monopoly system look very similar. And so some of the Wall Street tycoons who have engineered monopoly systems in America and other parts of the world were looking at this rising communist government and thinking, well, a command economy is quite convenient for us. We can actually capture an entire market and control what goods and services are pumped in there and out of there. And so as the whole Russian Empire, which along with America was the most abundant in terms of manpower and natural resources. And, it was just, everyone was sort of dying to pick over the carcass of what was the Russian Empire because it was so rich in natural resources. Of course, Wall Street is very interested. And so they were sending missions in there to explore how they might best position themselves for whatever kind of government was going to take over. And clearly there were some, I get into this quite a bit in the book as well, but there were some illicit dealings of, Wall Street representatives, charging in there in the wake of the revolution to sort of put chips behind the different players who might actually take the helm.
What's the most, I guess I don't want to give away too much, but something that you did while researching this book that you found to be absolutely frightening about our history? Like in American history involving sort of that monopoly and sort of what's going on behind the curtain with our own government.
Well, one thing that was shocking to me was how far and wide the tentacles of communism spread in that period of time. And I didn't know this piece of history, but there was a Communist Party office in New York City in Midtown.
Wow.
That NYPD raided in 1920. They found all these files that they're working for the Communist International, or Comintern. So one of the things that Lenin and Stalin were criticized for a little bit within Russia, was they weren't Russia first. Again, this echoes all of present-day stuff. It's like, you got to be Russia first, as opposed to communist first. Because there was communism, the idea was it should be an international movement. They wanted to support communist uprisings in Germany and Great Britain. One of the reasons why, this was in the movie The Crown, the show The Crown, the British monarchy refused sanctuary to Nicholas II. I don't know if you ever watched that show, but they didn't let him sort of come to Great Britain. They refused him, and he ended up getting murdered by the communists instead, because they were worried about a communist insurrection starting in Britain. And there were communist offices here in New York City and throughout America. And so, there was a lot of paranoia, like the Red Scare, or like communists are everywhere, but they actually kind of were. There were offices everywhere, and they were trying an international movement. that some people in Russia were saying to Lenin, like, you're our leader, you need to lead Russia. Don't worry about these other countries. Let's get Russia fixed first. So that was sort of one of the points of tension within the early Soviet government.
And of course, there's still communist offices here in America. It's the Squad. You have AOC. You have there's plenty of communists still left in this country.
The mayor of New York, that office is there.
Yeah, that still exists. Doug, one more thing on this, because I feel like there's this hope, right? There's an air of potential that could have come out of this that was positive, but there's also an idea that, throughout the book and throughout this history, there are a lot of sort of well-meaning reformers that you highlight who seem to want to improve things, and in sort of like a matrix type of situation is constantly rejected by the people that were attempted to be helped. So was all of this sort of inevitable in the end, that this was going to fall apart?
I don't know about inevitable, but you're right. There is this repeating cycle of reform and then repress. Mm-hmm. And as they offered reforms for freedom of assembly and freedom of the press, then there were people who assembled and wrote communist doctrine and ended up being so Alexander for Alexander II as one example, liberated the serfs in 1861, and he also made these liberalizing reforms around press and assembly. And then they assassinate him. Like the groups got together and they were subversive. And so then his son comes in and is like, we're rolling all that stuff back. All those reforms my dad talked about, forget it. And he put in a very repressive government. Similar, we saw it in the Gorbachev to, ultimately Putin cycle in Russia to present day. And I think one of the things I came away with is that the Russian people are very different from people in the West. Russia's much more, they talk about it being at sort of the hinge between East and West. But they're really, in terms of the psyche of the people and the level of autocratic rule, is much more like a Japanese emperor or a Chinese emperor of old, where they're almost seen as like deities. And the Russian Tsar was more of a demigod. He was God's anointed person on earth. And that's even into the 20th century. They viewed the Tsar as this sort of almost spiritual holy being, more than just an autocrat. And so they're used to a strong man, like the mentality of the Russian people. It's hard to view it through a Western lens. They like Putin. They like a strong man. Can you imagine like Keir Starmer leading the Russians? Like that would never work.
No, I cannot.
So, and it's just the mentality of the people going back centuries. It's very different. They're much more Asian in that regard than they are Western.
Doug Brunt.
Do you think?
Go ahead. We're talking to Doug Brunt. The book is The Lost Empire of Emanuel Nobel. Go ahead, Dave.
No, I was saying, do you think it's worse now or then, when you're given so much information to the people, where even then you can kind of convince somebody that someone is a messenger of God so easily, or now where there is so much information that the public can be confused?
I think it's easier to maintain a little mystery and maybe a little veneer of a deity when there's less information, when there's too much access. It's almost like Hollywood, Sinatra, and of course the people even before that, Rock Hudson or Gary Cooper, they were all sort of mysterious. We didn't know about all their gross foibles and bizarre personal lives. We sort of elevate them into this more exalted status than we do now. I mean, celebrities now, we know too much about them. They all seem like losers.
Yeah, there's a lot to deal with there. I'll have to look into this Rock Hudson thing, but other than that, yeah, we know way too much about them. Less is more, for sure.
Less is more,
in that, yeah,
for sure.
In that realm.
Doug Brunt, the brand new book is The Lost Empire of Emanuel Nobel, Romanovs, the Revolutionaries, and the Forgotten Titan Who Fueled the World. Before you go, though, Doug, the most important question I need to ask you, as a fellow Eagles fan, how should we be feeling about the departure of A.J. Brown?
I loved A.J. Brown. My own feelings is I would have taken Brown over Hurts. I think I'm more in that camp. I mean, as a Philly fan, it's like we love to hate our best players somehow. Like Mike Schmidt doesn't get a hit for 3 games and we start booing him, the greatest third baseman ever. How could we boo the guy? But I'm sad about A.J. Brown However, I'm more concerned about the Rams picking up this defensive tackle who's a total stud. I don't know how anybody can get through the Rams this coming season.
They do look unbelievable. They won't have another draft pick for the next 55 years. But yes, Garrett there is very, very scary. And we should all just take a moment of silence for Dave, who's a Detroit Lions fan as well.
The Rams took our guy, too. They took Stafford.
That's right.
Oh, that's right. He came. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a good guy. He sent my son an autographed ball. I will always like Stafford, and I'm glad he won that ring. I just wish it was on our team, but we all know that's not going to happen.
Well, the Lions have the lost empire of their own. It's the lost empire of Emanuel Nobel. It's by Douglas Brunt. It's a great book. If you love history, if you listen to Glenn over all these years, you know how important history is, and this is a great example of a story I honestly didn't know much about at all. A really important sliding doors moment in our history. Doug, great book, and thanks so much for coming on back on the program. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Great to see you.
So an incident with the Black Crowes, a band you may remember from their hit many years ago. They had an issue with their fans. And
Hen and Now Mess Around?
Yeah, that one.
Just want to make sure I had the right band, yeah.
That's the correct hit that they did have. And now apparently they do concerts, which is interesting because that would indicate they played other songs as well as not just the one song that people know from them.
Well, yes, it's. I believe it's Hard to Handle Now is the name of the song. I could be wrong.
I think you're right.
But everyone only knows it as that song. So I think they hear that song, but then they wait for the song that they know the title of, not realizing it's the same song. I got to the bottom of it. You're all very welcome.
I will say, Dave, what do you think about this? I've thought this many times over the years when I've gone to see a concert like the Black Crowes, where they have like one song you maybe really like, and then a bunch of other stuff that maybe you don't know or don't care about. Is it appropriate for a band like that to both start and end the show with the same song, and I would argue put a different version in the middle somewhere? So like there's an acoustic in the middle. You lead it off, you open the show with your big song, and you close the encore with your big song, and in the middle there's like an acoustic version of it. I think you just go for it.
It's not. It should be. It should be in the contract when they go and do the show. I once saw Blue Oyster Cult do 3 encores of Don't Fear the Reaper at Pine Knob in Michigan because they knew what their audience wanted, and they weren't up there angry about it. They knew.
Yeah.
And we were all very grateful. And look, they had Burnin' For You. They had Godzilla. They had other songs we wanted to hear. But with that song, they have to kind of go, look, we're going to have to play this a few times, and then you're going to hear some stuff. This is where you can go to the bathroom, get a beer, and come back, and we'll have more Hen and Now Mess Around.
Yeah, Hen and Now Mess Around. Yeah, that's exactly right. So they were played a show where I think they only played their song once, which is terrible. This Facebook post emerged from the concert. The Black Crowes were excellent right up to until the crowd chanted USA, USA after seeing a Black Crow character wearing Uncle Sam red, white, and blue top hat on the Jumbotron. Chris Robinson replied, "Thanks for the geography lesson. I don't know what you're so proud of right now." The crowd booed and booed. He called us ignorant MFers and stated, "Boo all you want, you ignorant MFs. Some of us have class and we're not afraid." I don't know who's you're referring to when he's talking about class, because it's certainly not them. But this is the video, Dave. This is from the actual concert experience.
Real quick, I just want to say, they said they wanted to hear good music, and they went to this show, which looks packed.
Right.
For those of you booing us, some of us are not afraid. And we most assuredly are not ignorant, so thank you.
Yeah, God. It's so tiresome, Dave.
There's a good portion of people going, I think we can go sit in the pavilion and they won't stop us. There's a lot of open seats down there.
That's interesting. There is a lot of open seats. I mean, what? Look, this is a theater act at this point. You're the Black Crowes. Like, you have one song that people know. The appropriate size of your venue is like 800, right? Like, you should not be playing indoor, outdoor venues at this point unless it's part of a festival.
Look, Les Claypool was here in Detroit and Rochester on Sunday. I'm kicking myself for not going because Billy Strings came out. And yeah, everybody was there. And there was no controversy because they were there for music and to watch a great bass player. This is if you're chanting USA in the crowd and it's your fans, maybe don't scold them for something they like the country.
Yeah, it seems like a pretty rational thing to do. It's like this idea that this country, which, by the way, is completely responsible for any success you've had in your entire life. You are an absolute zilch outside of this one stupid song that enough of these people who like the country listen to. And the fact that you could go out there and just berate them for no reason. Tell me again about class. Tell me how that's classy. I see this all the time, like where a conservative will be like, hey, I really like this song. And the band's like, well, you shouldn't like it because you like low taxes or whatever their dumb argument is. I can't take it.
Well, it's the same as, look, I've seen Roger Waters and David Gilmour, and I like Pink Floyd a lot. But I can't take your message that seriously when I can get your shirt at every Kohl's and Walmart. Right. It's nothing... It's nothing personal. It's just I don't really believe your message. I just like Comfortably Numb and a lot of your songs. That's about it. I don't really believe you.
No, of course not. And by
the
way,
same as Rage Against the Machine. It's like, I got your Machine hat at Walmart. You know, I bought it at the machine store.
It's very true. And not to mention, if you don't get it at Walmart, you can get it at the merch stand for $65, right? Like it's right. They all hate capitalism up until the moment they can take advantage of it. And then it's wonderful. We got to take a break here, Dave. We're running a little bit late. We have your comments, though, coming up on the other side. Every industry has one person that makes the rest of the profession look bad. You know, there's the mechanic who somehow turns an oil change into a $4,000 repair bill. There's a contractor who vanishes the moment you say hand over a deposit. And then, of course, there's real estate agents who seem to believe that putting a listing online and waiting around for something to happen qualifies as a marketing strategy. It does not. The problem is when you're buying or selling a home, the difference between an average agent and a great one can mean thousands, sometimes tens of thousands of dollars in your pocket. And that's why you got to get the best agent in your area. You need realestateagentsitrust.com. They don't just hand out referrals to anyone with a license and a business card. They spend time finding agents with proven track records, strong local market knowledge, and of course, a reputation for actually fighting for their clients when they need it. Whether you're moving across town or across the country, realestateagentsitrust.com can connect you with somebody who's going to already perform at a level you're not used to. You're high above your expectations. Go to realestateagentsitrust.com. Realestateagentsitrust.com. This is a free service to you. Check it out whether you're buying or selling a home. It's realestateagentsitrust.com. Join us at BlazeTV, blazetv.com/Stu and Dave. The code is Stu and Dave. You can save $20 off your subscription to BlazeTV. Love taking your comments there as well. We played a video of a vegan who eats Slim Jims and claims to still be a vegan. This comes in from Iron Toad. Wow, that vegan thing at the beginning is literally how the left thinks everything is. It's very, very
basically
true. Yeah, it's very, very true. Bobblehead writes, on the ballot box with the homeless person next to it, we saw definitely a steamer in that ballot box. Maybe some raccoon moonshine for voting. Woo, Murica. I know. It's exciting. Spencer Pratt isn't in the MAGA cult, is he? He just comes off as a common sense candidate, the most sane candidate in quite some time. I think that's been one of his appeals, especially in California.
It is, but I think to the left, that's MAGA.
Yeah, of course. Common sense, yeah. And we don't want people urinating on our children is somehow MAGA. And then Scotty says, ahoy from the moon. Dave is too unpredictable, so you can't put him on your other shows, too. That's true. He would not fit on predictable
I bet I would.
Yeah,
you got to give me a shot.
Let's give it a shot. PredictableShow.com is the place to go to find that show. And DaveLandau.com is the place to go to see Dave all around the country. We'll see you tomorrow.